On. Flower soul.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, seems my wife saw a post or something. Seems pretty popular.
Let's see. So,
All right, we have a quorum. Let's go ahead and get started. So we can get down to the phone when Brandon gets here. All right, we're gonna go ahead and, mic turn on, John.
No.
It's okay. We almost got done. All right, while the mics are turning off, we'll go ahead and get started. I'd like to welcome everybody out. I'm Chairman Thomas. Welcome out to the North Ogden City Planning Commission meeting for June 7th, 2023. We'll begin our meeting with taking note that Commissioner Barker is excused tonight. Oh, no, we won't. We'll begin with Commissioner Webb. I just crossed out with a invocation or thought, followed which he'll lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Webb.
our Father in heaven, we're grateful to be here today. We're grateful to have this nice building to meet as City Planning Commission and citizens. We're grateful for this wonderful place that we live, and we ask that would help us to listen closely to one another tonight and keep a focus on what is best for the city and residents of North Ogden. And these things we say in the name of Jesus Christ, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Commissioner Webb. Now we'll make note that Commissioner Barker is excused tonight. And our minutes consideration and action to approve the March 15th and April 19th Planning Commission meeting minutes. Is there any corrections or adjustments that need to be made?
I haven't read those. I move we approve them
Or both? Or
for both.
Second that.
we have a motion, a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Ex parte communications or conflicts of interest. Any of you on these guys? On tonight's agenda. We will open up for public comment. If you'd like to comment on an item or something that is not on the agenda and speak to Planning Commission, we invite you to do so at this time. As typical policy that we do, we allow public comment on our agenda items. So if it's not an agenda, if it is an agenda item, we'll have the opportunity when we're there. So we invite you to step up to the podium and speak to us at this time.
And we have just one agenda item there.
Mhm. All right, we'll move on to our one agenda item. It is an administrative item. Site plan review for 2023-09. This is consideration and action on an administrative application and site plan approval for All West Communications located at approximately 346 East Pleasant View Drive. The presenter will be Scott Hess, our Community and Economic Development Director.
Thank you. So this is a required site plan. The civic zone says all new development in the civic zone requires a site plan. We really don't have a size classification for that or another L in the commercial design standards. There's some things like that, but it may be worth it for staff to look at ways to make these simpler items more administrative. But the hard part is that this one's simple just on the basis of how the application came in. Where the similar communication tower that we did up 400 East on Washington Boulevard, the Planning Commission spent some significant time talking about landscaping and buffering and what to do on that communication shed. So it really depends on what equipment is coming in. So it's probably a fair process to do, but this is a very simplistic one.
Can I comment on that? I'm sorry to interject, but we talked about that before, whether or not we wanted to streamline things for the civic zone, and I thought the commission's interpretation was that given the fear of the civic zone that when we implemented it, that there was a, a belief by the public that that could be used for the city's own purposes, right? And so I feel, and I can't speak for the body, but I feel that we should probably keep reviewing things like this.
The other thing that's different about this one from the previous one that we did is that this one had to go through a land lease. This will have to go through a land lease. It's on the property owned by the city, but it went through the land lease process with the city council first. And that became, the lease kind of became the tail wagging the dog for the site plan approval, because the council, the legislative body had already approved a lease with some pieces in it. So in this case, we are bringing it to planning commission first, make sure that any provisions, landscaping, buffering, screening, parking, anything that may be addressed is approved here or made a recommendation for approval here that would then get built into the lease. So we'll try to do that in the future, make sure that you're a recommending body to the council, and then we build all those approvals together. So quickly run through this. John has the basic site plan up. There's a little dark box that maybe he can highlight for me or show right there. This is on the old city shops. You can't physically see this from the street. You're actually just north and west of the existing cell phone tower there. And there's an access to the site right in the middle there between the old fire building and the old city shops, where you can come around the asphalt and connect to the site. The improvement is 32 square feet. It's just a little concrete pad with a locking metal cabinet on it. Because the cabinet is completely self-contained, there's no recommendation for additional fencing. It's not equipment that they're going to be able to access or get into regardless. And because of where it's at, and it's adjacency to this other improvement, the cell phone tower, there's really no landscaping that's being required at all at this time either. So this was a negotiated location between the city and the applicant to make sure that it didn't impede future development in the area or our ability to continue to use the shops. This is kind of up where we store our scrap metal in this area of the city right now, but that site could be a number of future uses, right? One kind of interesting thing is in looking at the civic zone, public utilities, including communications equipment, are a permitted use when quote developed by a public agency. And staff is making the interpretation in this case that All West via agreement with the city to install fiber is operating in a public utility capacity to do this. They're kind of like a subcontractor in some ways, but the fact that the city is willing to go under contract on a lease with them to do it is in an extension, something that we would do as a public utility for the city. So that's where how we're classifying it essentially. There's really no other, yard requirements. It's plenty separated from anything that surrounds it. It has commercial to the east. There's no residential immediately surrounding it. So the only condition of approval that we're recommending, and staff's willing to entertain any questions that the planning commission has, but is that beyond this approval from planning commission, they do have to enter into and get an approved land lease with North Ogden City Council before they'll be able to move forward and build their improvement.
So did you just say they already did that?
No, they haven't. That was the first one. So
Oh,
that was
the first
the
one.
previous application that we looked at up on Washington Boulevard, where the lease preceded planning commission, and then the problem was that the lease stipulated landscaping. And then the planning commission wanted to discuss landscaping, but we had already entered into a lease, right? So we had it was kind of a circular discussion. This one, we're not recommending landscaping. The improvement will, part of it actually is on or right off some asphalt. So they'll just pour a new concrete pad and bolt this equipment down. And we just don't want it to block any future development opportunities. That's our biggest thing. And we'll address that in the land lease too, that they can't park or block or impede any future development that we may want to do, including tearing down those buildings or whatever else happens. This will always sort of be on the sideline of the site. And at that point, maybe we expand the fencing around the cell phone tower, but for right now, the general public really doesn't find themselves back there anyways, and it's locked equipment, so.
Okay. Thank you, Scott.
So it's not a little shed, it's not a building, it's just the metal box things, okay.
Yeah, there's an exhibit.
exposed. There's no fencing
No
or,
fencing.
No, maybe John, if you scroll up to the picture
No.
of one.
I could kind of see it, but it was,
And the picture and the build.
Oh, sorry, let me go to the,
I could kind of see it on here, but it was,
There were
Wow.
two
Couldn't
images
tell.
that I think were attached.
yeah, let me grab them here. It'll be easier to,
oh, I can see it better.
there's a,
Yeah, so just like that.
And the concrete pad's like 8x4. They have to drive trucks back there very often for stuff.
We have the applicant here to address what it is, and it's kind of like, I asked what a D-slam cabinet is for fiber, and Andy, you correct me if I'm wrong, but it's
That's
kind
what
of
you
like.
say when you smash your finger in the
Yeah.
door.
Yeah.
It's like a light booster station for fiber optic. So it's like a bright, I mean, it increases the light output through the fiber optic cables, as far as I understand.
Does it, do you know, and I'll ask the applicant, but does it have a little green light on it that shines obnoxiously down the sidewalk on 3300? What's that? I don't know.
Well, it'll have to be quite a light to get to 3300 from here.
Well, there's something like this on 3300 bucks. There, stupid green light shining right in your face.
I think that's the phone box.
Is that what it is?
Great
Okay.
question.
Well, we would invite the applicant up to speak with us if you'd like. We'll give you 45 seconds unless you feel like you need more.
3 minutes.
It's plenty of time. Mr. Hess did a good job of describing what the application is for. Again, it's a cabinet. It's very much like a electrical generator by looks that you see on the side of the street frequently, except it's tan instead of green. I had to look it up and I'm still not sure I know what it means. More of the physical civil side of it. I'm not the fiber optic. The DSLAM stands for Digital Subscriber Line Access Multiplier. So in addition to boosting the line, it also, that's where it separates the line, so it goes to the right receiving point. As mentioned, it's a small, it's way. If I talk anymore, all I can do is talk you out of it.
How often do people go back to it?
Very seldom, once a month, maybe.
Just to be prudent, I'll ask this, you're not aware of any safety issues with it. It's not emitting radiation or anything that you're aware of.
No.
Thank you.
Does it make sound?
Not that I'm aware of, no. There's several of them installed around the country. Any issue that's sit there and look pretty.
From a security standpoint, you're not concerned it doesn't have a fence or anything like that?
No, it's locked, it's a cabinet. No locks.
But if I open the door, can I see what Brandon's been buying on Amazon?
You'd have to have a pretty
Actually,
good,
probably.
pretty good cell phone to figure that out.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions?
Mm-mm.
All right, thank you. We would invite anybody from the public if they'd like to speak on this item to do so this time. All right, discussion, recommendation, and motion, recommendation, sorry. Any other discussion?
Well, I didn't want to speak for the body when I said that I think these do need to come before us. So if anyone has a different opinion, I mean, go ahead and voice it. But I am in support of us reviewing anything in the civic zone for the reasons I stated earlier.
I agree, as much as I feel like this should just be an email. If it's not in a civic zone, then we're not, it can't be perceived like we're hiding, giving the city a green light.
Because I remember the fear that day. But as far as this item, I would just recommend approval.
You have a motion for approval.
Well, I guess that is a motion. Yeah, wow. Oh, okay, I got backed into that one.
And do we have a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion, a second, any discussion? All right. Commissioner Watson,
Yes.
Commissioner Green,
Yes.
Commissioner Webb,
Yes.
Commissioner Mason,
Yes.
Commissioner Nancarrow,
Yes,
and I vote yes. All right, oh. As long as they get at least with the city.
I wrote as a condition, and that condition of approval is in the staff.
Okay.
That was part of my motion. That was an implied portion of my motion.
All right, do we have any public comments tonight for the planning commission? All right, any remarks from planning commissioners?
Quick, I was a little late because heavy traffic coming home from work, the bike team was stopped in two places. I was coming down 2700 and it was really thick. And a golf ball was bouncing down the other line of traffic. I can't believe it. I mean, I'm sure it hit a car behind me. Just throw that out there. That would be terrible to hit that head on.
Oh, yeah.
A golf
Way
ball.
by the golf course?
Yeah, right here, 2700. So I was delayed because of my 15, but just right here, I looked over and the golf ball was bouncing, about 20-foot bounces. You know, in a golf shot. And I'm not recommending anything other than making public aware, the body aware of that fence may not be adequate there.
Good slice.
So it was going right parallel with the road. I mean, it was gonna hit a car eventually, so it was gonna hit a car.
Any other? Scott, do we have, I guess in my commissioners, the 5th of July is our scheduled meeting for July. A lot of people were out of town for the 4th. I don't know what.
4th of the 7th.
Well, I would approve it.
It's on 7th, right?
It is?
I think it is.
Why is it not on the 4th of July?
Is the parade on the 7th?
8th.
Yeah, the
Really?
eighth for charity
Yeah.
days.
Yeah, the Cherry Days committee felt that doing it on a Saturday would get more people to participate.
Then on a holiday,
Wrong.
Oh, boy.
I have a few motions.
If Santa Claus comes on the weekend, it just works out so much easier.
Here it comes.
Should have opened that can of worms, sorry.
All right, well, regardless of the parade,
Can the record show a gigantic eye roll?
Reschedule that week because a lot of
Well,
people will be on vacation.
it just really matters on the agenda, like if you know we have things. Yeah, or if, like I said, really if commissioners are out of town, I mean, I wouldn't say reschedule it, but in the sense of
Will we have a quorum?
historically, if it's been tough, we just haven't had that one and everything moves to the next agenda, but that being that in mind, if there's stuff that needs to be pushed to this next meeting on the 21st of this month,
I'll talk to Joyce about that.
I don't know what's coming down the pipe, so.
I know I'll be out of town. I mean, who's?
Like, I don't want to come here on the 5th and approve a transformer box on the corner
No
of the
offense.
street. Because he doesn't want to be here.
We don't have any active projects right now that are dead set on coming in. We do have a few zoning text amendments that are kind of time sensitive. We need to establish our, the state changed our notice requirements. We need to establish an affected area. And I think we're going to put back into place what we used to for public noticing, which is 300 feet for, depending on the type of notice that we have, because the state stripped that out a few years ago and now has put it back. But we could probably do that in 2 weeks and then see that on the council early. And then we'll have the moderate income housing plan stuff to the report, which I don't think the planning commission has to take any action on. It would be more just a report back item on our annual report, which is due to the state by August 1st. Those are a couple of things.
Okay. Well, if we just keep that in mind, it sounds like nobody's planning to be out of town, but
We have one.
yeah, but
Maybe
he'll
he'll
come back.
Town today, yeah.
That's right. That's right.
He's a reliable traveler ever.
Utter devotion
Yeah,
to the planning commission. I wanted to get my yes vote in today.
we appreciate that.
And then I did have another question. I was just wondering, it was a few meetings ago that we discussed general plan revisions and we haven't heard anything since. So I was just curious.
Yeah, everything's kind of triaged. If it isn't immediately needed to be done right now with no other staff, I'll give you an update on the hiring process, but we're just right now honestly buried in kind of building permits and just trying to process those and short range planning. So all the long range planning stuff has pretty much just been shelved for.
That makes sense.
Well, if there's no other remarks from
So
commissioners.
I ran into Brendan Bell. He sends his regards.
Oh, yeah. How's he doing? Well?
He was doing good. Yeah,
Good.
yeah. He still drives through North Ogden on his commute. It's a pleasant view.
The land of golf balls.
Yeah. Now, next time you see him, you'll be like, hey, yeah.
Yeah, he had warm things to say about the city and specifically the staff and on you guys, and he had great things to say, so it was great.
All right, Scott.
Okay, so we have 2 qualified applicants. We had 3 applicants, 2 who are qualified. We're going to be doing interviews next week, potentially follow-up interview. Have asked Nisa to sit on that interview panel with us, as well as JD, our council representative, and then myself, and Katie Gerard. So we'll hold those interviews. Hopefully those go well, and we'll make an offer to one of those folks and get another planner in and help us out a bunch. So we do still have our intern from the University of Utah. He graduated this semester, so he's working with us a little bit more, but about 20 hours a week or so, and been really helpful with land use permits and some of the, kind of basic things, but we're really looking for somebody, a couple years of experience to help out. And then just a reminder on that Pleasant View hosted land use training that I sent out. I think that's Tuesday, the 27th, is when that is going to be. If you can attend, that's 2 hours of training that'll be helpful, and Craig Call will be hosting. That'll be great training on kind of all things land use law in Utah. So I recommend you go if you're able.
And heckle him.
That's, that was in Pleasant View, you said?
Yeah, Pleasant View City is hosting that, and they've invited Harrisville, Pleasant View, North Ogden,
Far West.
to try to just bring as many people as they can there. And
What was the date?
Tuesday the 27th.
Okay, thanks.
And that's all I have.
All right, John.
So first is the summer party that you're all invited to attend is the 29th.
Or a more convenient day that they think more
Oh,
people.
And then the Cherry Day celebration this year essentially is an 8-day celebration, Saturday to the next
If the
Saturday.
fireworks around my home go for 8 days, I'm gonna come up blue.
So let's see, I think they are still, that's a private group, so they're not actually tied to Cherry Days, but I believe they are still planning to do the red, white and boom is what they call it from
Mountain View.
Bates Elementary this year. Yeah, it's what I've been told by the
Oh,
organizers.
Not the amphitheater part.
Well, the main city fireworks are actually, I hate to give you a location yet because we're waiting for approval. We've requested that the junior high allow us to shoot them from their field, and then they could be seen from the main part, main North Ogden City Park, as well as other spots. They're trying to keep all the activities there this year. But here's a quick, so there's pickleball tournament, skate event, ping pong ball drop. On the 4th, there's the race, fitness in the park, the sunrise ceremony, the Kiwanis breakfast, and a foam party. And then there's different things going on at different times throughout the week. The night you were talking about for Planning Commission, they're doing a luau at the amphitheater with food that you can buy tickets to get the food, or I think you can just go watch the luau for free. And then there's car shows, and then Friday there's a carnival at the main park, and that's carrying over into Saturday as well. And Saturday will be the majority of the kind of like traditional activities, parade and fireworks and things that you normally see. So, but this is just northogdencherrydays.com if you want to see more information. They also will be mailing a flyer out to everybody's house. And so, yeah, that's
Looks like the committee's put a lot of work into this.
a ton of work. Like it is. And we have been, as the city, kind of obstinate on a few things to say, wait, no, you can't do that. And they've been very good working with us. And, the process isn't always easy when you work with government, but they've been working very hard, and they have not made everyone happy. And there'll be some feedback, I'm sure, after the event saying these things should be changed. But it's a big event this year. So if you can attend, there's plenty of opportunities to attend.
I was planning it. I had a trip planned and I was going to stay for the 4th. I leave on the 8th, so I guess I won't be going to the parade. All right, thanks, John. Motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I
All
second
in
that.
favor?
Aye.
Thank you.